Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is literally changing how we deal with data every single day, Gemini in Google Sheets. Now, we're not just talking about some flashy new software feature here. We're looking at a massive paradigm shift where conversational AI is actually replacing complex syntax as the main way we talk to our databases. We're going to focus on how this makes visualizing task completion instant and entirely intuitive, completely rewiring how we manage our daily workflows.
Okay, let's dive into this. Be honest, are you absolutely tired of troubleshooting complex spreadsheet formulas? It's a universally shared pain point, right? You're in the zone, you know exactly what logic you want your data to follow, but to make the software actually do it, you have to translate your thought process into strict machine syntax. So you start writing the formula, and suddenly your workflow just hits a brick wall because of a syntax error. You lose that precious state of deep work and spend the next 20 minutes scouring forms just to find a misplaced comma. It is a massive friction point that totally kills your momentum.
Section 1. The raw number problem, or moving beyond a sea of digits.
Look, when you're managing projects and staring at raw data alone, your brain is actually taking on a ton of cognitive overhead. You're forcing yourself to mentally translate isolated digits across dozens of cells into a cohesive big picture. It's an exhausting, incredibly slow process to endure over an 8-hour workday. But the real goal of any functional dashboard is to eliminate that mental friction entirely. We want to move toward instantly visualizing task completion. A well-designed workspace should do the heavy lifting for you, giving you a clear reality check without demanding extra mental math. And honestly, the absolute most effective visual shorthand for that is a simple progress bar. They instantly clarify critical things like project milestones, sales targets, or team workloads. Think about managing a busy team of 5. Instead of scanning a giant column of numbers to figure out who's swamped and who's free, a progress bar gives you the answer in half a second. You instantly see who is redlining at 90% capacity and who has the bandwidth to take on a new project. It bypasses the slow analytical part of our brain, tapping right into our pattern recognition. You aren't guessing, you just know.
Moving right along to Section 2, Formulas in Plain Language, bringing conversational logic straight into Google Sheets.
So the crucial point is, how do we actually get these progress bars without suddenly needing to become a database engineer? Well, Gemini acts as the ultimate translator here. It seamlessly converts plain language right into complex spreadsheet logic. It's a total game changer for human-computer interaction. You don't have to speak the machine's clunky formula language anymore. Everyday English, or whatever your native language is now the most powerful programming tool you have. You simply describe what you want, like asking it to generate a progress bar based on specific data, and the AI writes the underlying code directly inside your spreadsheet. The machine finally bends to our language, not the other way around.
The ripple effect of this is massive democratization. Advanced data visualization becomes instantly accessible for literally everyone. We're talking everyone from seasoned spreadsheet power users to absolute beginners. Think about how this changes a team's dynamic. The massive gap between a specialized data analyst and a standard project manager closed. You could be someone who has meticulously built dashboards for a decade, or someone opening a sheet for the very first time to track a personal budget. It doesn't even matter anymore. You both now have the exact same capability to build dynamic tools effortlessly just by asking for them.
Which brings us to Section 3, Visualizing Everyday Workflows, or how to truly bring your data to life. Let's make this concrete with a really relatable everyday example, a content calendar pipeline. So imagine a typical content team. Every single article moves through distinct stages, right? It's in drafting, then review, then publishing. Usually, you'd be scrolling down endless rows reading text statuses like "in progress," trying to piece together the health of the pipeline. It's tedious, but by simply asking for a progress visualization, you get an immediate picture of your momentum. With one glance, you know exactly how close an asset is to being done. And more importantly, you can immediately spot the bottlenecks, like those 3 articles that have been stuck in review purgatory for a week.
Or consider another one we all deal with: budget trackers. Managing expenses, whether it's for a massive corporate department or just your own kitchen remodel, carries a ton of inherent anxiety. And that anxiety usually comes from doing mental math, trying to track your total spend against a hard limit. But by asking the AI to visually measure your expenses against that limit, the whole dynamic flips. You're basically saying, show me my budget burn rate, and boom, you get a clean progress bar showing exactly how much of the pie is eaten. It turns a stressful financial chore into a clear, completely grounded visual reality.
And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate advantage of everything we've been unpacking today, a massive shift in where you spend your time. Because the AI takes on the heavy lifting of the syntax. The hours you used to lose to debugging and chasing down formatting errors, they just vanish. And that time goes straight into actually acting on the data. You pivot from being the mechanic, constantly trying to fix a spreadsheet's engine, to being the strategist who gets to drive the car. You spend your day making informed decisions based on what your data is finally showing you.
All right, final part, Section 4, the Smart Spreadsheet Era. AI lowering the technical barrier.
Think about how much we bounce around between apps. For years, if you wanted beautiful, intuitive dashboards, you had to export your data. You were totally dependent on expensive external project management tools or really clunky third-party add-ons. You'd end up with 15 different tabs open just to manage one project. But by having this conversational AI built directly into your existing environment, everything gets consolidated. You get the advanced visual tools you need without ever having to leave the native spreadsheet where your data already lives and where your team is already hanging out. There's a quote directly from our source material that really hits the nail on the head. Gemini extends that power by reducing the technical barrier to advanced features. We really need to unpack what it means when that technical barrier practically drops to zero. It means the bottleneck in our work is no longer our ability to write code or memorize formulas. When the friction of syntax is gone, the spreadsheet stops being this rigid thing you fight with, and it becomes a fluid, responsive partner. The only thing limiting the utility of your data now is your own logic.
So what does this all mean? It leaves us with a fascinating final thought to chew on. If AI entirely removes the technical barrier, if knowing complex formulas is no longer the price of admission for advanced data management, what does your spreadsheet become? It is no longer just a ledger of rows and columns. It literally transforms into a blank canvas for your custom workflows. The ceiling has been permanently lifted. Thank you so much for joining this explainer. I'll leave you to think about your own daily tasks. What are you going to build when the only limit is your imagination?